Hey, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're digging into something you probably haven't thought much about: Mesopotamian bricks. Yeah, I know, but trust me, it's a really cool story about technology, trade-offs, and why the newest, shiniest thing doesn't always come out on top.
So let's just start with a question. When a new, supposedly better technology comes along, does it automatically replace the old one? I mean, you'd think so, right? The answer seems kind of obvious. But as we're about to see, the history of a couple of ancient bricks tells a way more complex and, honestly, a much more interesting story. All right, so let's set the scene. We're going back thousands of years to ancient Mesopotamia. This was a civilization building everything from the ground up, homes, grand palaces, the works. But they had a huge resource problem, which meant they had to get really, really creative. See, they were right there on the river plains of the Tigris and Euphrates, so they had an absolutely endless supply of one thing: mud. Tons of it. But what they didn't have was good building stone or a lot of wood. So they literally had to build their entire world out of the ground they were standing on. And their solution? It was pretty ingenious: the sun-dried mud brick. This simple thing became the standard for pretty much all construction. It was quite literally the building block of their entire society. And making one? Super straightforward. You just mix up some mud, water, maybe throw in some chopped straw to make it stronger. You press that mix into a mold, and then you just let the sun do all the hard work. It was cheap, it was easy, and you were using materials you could find right next to wherever you were building. I mean, perfect for an ordinary family trying to put up a house. But the Mesopotamians were real innovators. They didn't just stop there. They came up with a new technology that was a massive leap forward. It opened up a whole new world of possibilities for what they could build. They started building these special ovens called kilns, and they baked the bricks. And this process, it triggered a permanent chemical change. That intense heat completely transformed the clay. It made the bricks fundamentally harder, way more durable, and, this is the big one, so much more resistant to water. And this right here, this is the key advantage. Think about it. A fired brick could stand up to heavy rain or flooding, conditions that would just turn a regular sun-dried brick back into a pile of mud. This was an absolute game changer, especially for building things that really, really needed to last. So, okay, the new brick is obviously way better. Story over, right? The old tech gets tossed out for the new one. Well, not so fast. This is where it gets really interesting. Even with this amazing new technology, the old-school sun-dried bricks stayed the most common building material for centuries. And the reason why? It all comes down to something we still deal with every single day. The answer is right here in a simple cost-benefit analysis. See, firing bricks was expensive. You had to build a kiln, you needed a ton of fuel to get it hot enough, and you had to pay specialized workers who knew what they were doing. Sun-dried bricks, on the other hand, all you needed was some basic labor and free sunshine. So this trade-off, it led to a really elegant and practical solution, and it shows you just how smart Mesopotamian engineers and city planners actually were. Instead of just picking one technology over the other, they used both. They were strategic about it. They matched the type of brick to the specific problem they were trying to solve. It's the classic idea of using the right tool for the right job. So here's the crucial part. They saved those expensive, super durable fire bricks for the most critical jobs. We're talking about things like drains and sewers, which were always wet, or the foundations for massive temples, the outer walls of palaces, or these huge city gateways. The stuff that absolutely had to last and stand up to the weather. But for everything else, for your average house or an interior wall, the cheaper sun-dried brick was totally good enough. And that is the key takeaway here. This proves they weren't just stuck in their ways, following tradition. No, they were making smart, economic decisions. They were balancing cost against performance, exactly like a modern engineer would do today. Two types of brick. One was common and cheap, the other was strong and expensive. And they existed side by side for centuries. And working together, these two technologies built one of the very first great civilizations in history. So the real lesson here, I think, is that progress isn't always about completely replacing the old with the new. A lot of the time, it's just about finding the right balance. And it kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? What's the sun-dried brick in our world today? That older, maybe simpler technology that's still around just because it's still the absolute best tool for certain jobs.